This week's Torah portion contains the dramatic revelation of Joseph to his brothers, where he finally says, Ani Yosef, I am Joseph, your brother. Is my father still alive? And the brothers were obviously dismayed and shocked to learn that this was their brother Joseph. And Joseph sees that they're dumbfounded and struck, and they cannot even respond to him. And so he says to them, come closer. And here are the words Joseph says to his brothers. Do not feel bad. Do not feel distressed that you sold me into slavery, because God sent me here to save the land from famine. Notice what Joseph is saying to the brothers. Joseph is saying I do not view myself as a victim of circumstances. I narrate my own story and I reframe it. And I don't see myself as being passive, as an object that was sold into slavery, a powerless, helpless soul. On the contrary, I see myself as having been sent into Egypt. I am an ambassador of God, chosen for a mission and for a purpose. And here we get to understand how Joseph survived so many years of suffering, as being betrayed by his brothers, thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, then imprisoned falsely, and emerges to become the viceroy of Egypt. And the answer is that Joseph understood that he was a man on a mission, that his life had a purpose. And as long as you know you have a purpose, that you are being sent here for a reason, and your reason, as he knew from the dreams, was to become a great leader and to save the land from famine, he was able to endure the worst suffering. Viktor Frankl, famous psychiatrist who survived the Holocaust, famously said, if you have a why, you could survive anyhow. And as he himself said, that when he was in the camps, the way he survived was that he imagined himself studying human nature to be able to teach about the lessons he learned during the Holocaust. And often as he was going through pain and suffering, he would envision himself one day in the future in a lecture hall, lecturing to thousands of students about the lessons of human nature. And that reason to live, to survive, that purpose, that goal is what got him through it. And he lived to tell those stories and to teach those lessons and to write the famous book, Man's Search for Meaning, and to lecture about this exact idea, that what he discovered was that as long as you have a purpose in your life, you can overcome anything. And more important than pleasure in life is purpose in life. Every human soul needs a purpose. Joseph knew his purpose, and therefore he was able to overcome all the adversity he faced in his life. They tell a story of a man who was walking through a desert on a very hot day, and he was exhausted and weary. And he turned to the desert and he said, you're of no help to me. He said, at least when I travel the sea, when I get tired, the currents of the water gives me some assistance and pushes me along my journey. But you, sea, sand of the desert, you give me no help as I go through the desert. And the desert responded to the man and said, do you think anyone will ever know that you crossed the sea? Do you think there will be any remembrance of your crossing the sea? Will you leave any mark? Absolutely not. But when you cross the desert, you will leave footprints and a path for others to follow. As long as we know that we're making imprints, that we're leaving footprints, that we're leaving a legacy, that we're charting a course for others, that our life has a purpose and a meaning to it, no matter how tiring and exhausting the journey of life may be, we find the spirit, the courage, the enthusiasm, and the optimism to persevere. Like Joseph, we can rise from the lowest points of despair, from being in the pit of imprisonment in Egypt, to becoming viceroy of the land of Egypt and saving the entire region from famine. Have a wonderful day.